welcome to In the Growth Space podcast, where we explore the intersection of leadership, culture, and sustainable business growth. I'm your host, David McGlennon. I'm also the CEO and founder of Impact Leadership Consulting. Now, if you're listening to this when the episode drops, I just want to say a huge thank you, because that means you're a subscriber. Thank you so much for subscribing and being a regular listener. It means so much to me. Now, this episode is a summer hiatus episode, and it's a little different from our usual format. Instead of interviewing a guest, I'm taking some time to reflect on a significant milestone. It's the 10th anniversary of Impact Leadership Consulting, LLC. It's hard to believe that 10 years ago this month, July of 2015, I took the leap to start this company with a simple but powerful mission to help people-centered CEOs develop cohesive teams that result in sustainable culture and a legacy of growth. You know, when I think about this journey, I'm reminded of something that I often tell my clients about strength training. In order to gain strength, you have to add more resistance. If you add too much and you perform the exercise improperly, you're going to learn through the pain of an injury. And the same thing is true with leadership and business growth. The times when we face resistance are how we gain more leadership strength. These past years have certainly provided plenty of resistance, plenty of opportunities to grow stronger. And I just want to share some of those lessons with you today. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to share some of the stories from my own growth process through this last decade of business growth. So let me take you back to 2015. I had already been building and growing businesses for over 20 years as an entrepreneur and a family business owner. I'd experienced a successful exit from a technology and wellness company, but I kept seeing the same pattern everywhere I looked. I saw companies struggling not because they lacked good ideas or market opportunities, but because they lacked the leadership foundation to execute those ideas effectively. I remember sitting in my office one evening, probably around 9 p.m. You know how it is when you're building something new. And I wrote down what would become our mission statement: to help 1,000 companies optimize their organizational health by 2030, because everyone deserves to work in an environment where they can contribute, be challenged, and fulfilled. And that number, 1,000 companies, felt audacious at the time, and it still does. But you know what? Sometimes you need an audacious goal to pull you forward. And it's funny, when you're clear about where you're going, the path starts to reveal itself. Now, one of the core philosophies that emerged early in our work was this idea of being a business growth Sherpa. Like climbing a mountain can take different routes, each company, each team, and individual journey is unique. So we're the Sherpa who gives you the route you need as you navigate to your summit. This metaphor has guided everything we do. So just as a Sherpa doesn't climb the mountain for you, we don't run your business for you, but instead, we provide the expertise, the tools, the route planning, and the support you need to reach new heights without sacrificing your team's mental and physical health. I learned this lesson early on with one of our first clients, a manufacturing company that was experiencing rapid growth, but they were struggling with team cohesion. The CEO thought he needed someone to come in and fix his people problems. What he actually needed was someone to help him see that the problems weren't with his people, they were with the systems and processes that were supposed to support those people. We spent 3 months working together, not fixing people, but optimizing the organizational health of the company. The transformation was remarkable. Revenue grew by 35% in the following year. But more importantly, employee satisfaction scores went through the roof. That's when we knew we were onto something special. And one of the pivotal moments in my journey came when I became an independent speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team back in 2014, just before I launched the Impact Leadership Consulting Company. John Maxwell's leadership principles have profoundly shaped my approach to developing leaders. John's emphasis on intentional leadership development, his understanding that leadership is influence, and his belief that everything rises and falls on leadership, these concepts became foundational to our methodology. When we talk about creating strong leaders and growing capable people, we're building on decades of proven leadership wisdom. The John Maxwell certification didn't just give us tools, it gave us a framework for thinking about leadership development in a systematic way. And it reinforced something that I'd learned in my own entrepreneurial journey. And that is that leadership isn't something you stumble into, it's something you develop intentionally. Now, one of the next certifications that I went through was with David Friedman, who is the CEO of High Performing Culture. That company ultimately became CultureWise. And I was drawn to David and his methodology because we had a common background. We both spent decades in the insurance industry. Both of us worked for our fathers. And David developed his methodology at his own insurance agency. And this methodology was built on human behavior dynamics. And it was influenced by the Ritz-Carlton and other companies who had solid, high-performing cultures where people served people. So in 2023, I was then exposed to appreciative inquiry, which is a methodology that looks at how living systems, in other words, companies and teams of people, learn and grow. And the growth guide that I got to learn from, his name is John Berghoff. And John was an amazing executive at a company called Vitamix. And he also studied under Dr. David Cooperrider at Case Western Reserve University before he began his company and his community, which taught his approach. And that was called the exchange approach. Now, I saw this methodology as being on the cutting edge of where our world is and really where it's headed. So I began the process of becoming a certified guide. And that successful certification finished in April of this year, 2025. And I've been helping leadership teams grow through intentional conversations that we call choreographies. And it is just incredible how this approach can create psychological safety so fast and connection that is so powerful. Now, going back a bit, about 4 years into our journey, we launched what became one of our signature programs. It was called the Inner Circle. And this wasn't just another leadership program. It was a community of leaders who were and are committed to growing together. The Inner Circle Summit became an annual gathering where heart-centered CEOs and business leaders come together to learn, to share, and push each other to new levels of performance. What I love about this community is that it embodies one of our core beliefs, and that is when your people are growing, your company will be growing as well. We have two levels. The Emerging Leader Inner Circle is for those who are advancing but still new to people leadership. And the more advanced group, we call it the Elite Inner Circle. It operates like a mastermind where members present hot seat issues and scenarios where they want coaching. Both groups participate in peer coaching as they learn to coach each other. And the magic happens when leaders realize that they're not alone in their challenges. Whether you're dealing with a difficult team member, navigating organizational change, or just trying to scale your culture, there is incredible power in learning from others who have walked similar paths. Now, if I had to distill the biggest lesson from these 10 years into one single concept, it'd be this: organizational health is the ultimate competitive advantage. Companies that prioritize the health of their organization, their culture, their people systems, their leadership development, they consistently outperform those that don't. I've worked with companies across various industries, from technology startups to established manufacturing firms, from healthcare organizations to professional services companies. And the ones that thrive have something in common, and that is that they've learned to optimize their organizational health. Success leaves clues, right? So what does this look like practically? It means having clear processes that people can follow. It means investing in leadership development and coaching at every level. It means creating psychological safety where people can contribute their best ideas. It means building systems that support growth rather than hinder it. One of our clients, a healthcare company, was experiencing high turnover and low morale despite being very profitable. And the CEO was frustrated. He was paying competitive salaries and he was offering good benefits, but people kept leaving. Through our work together, we discovered that the issue wasn't compensation. It was that the people didn't feel valued or heard. So we implemented a simple but powerful system for regular feedback and recognition. We created pathways for career development. We established clear communication channels between leadership and frontline employees. Within 18 months, turnover decreased by 60%, and employee engagement scores reached all-time highs. That's the power of organizational health. It's not just about being a nice place to work. though that's important, it's about creating an environment where people can do their best work, where they feel connected to the mission, and where they can grow both personally and professionally. Now, about 3 years ago, we launched this podcast in the growth space because we wanted to create a platform for sharing these insights more broadly. Every episode, we bring you conversations with leaders who are doing the work of building high-performing cultures and sustainable growth within their organizations and their teams. Sometimes I share an idea that's on my mind or a situation that I've worked on with a client. The response has been incredible. We've had episodes downloaded in over 40 countries. We've heard from listeners who've implemented strategies that they learned from our guests. And we've seen business owners connect with each other through our podcast community. In the Growth Space podcast isn't just about business growth. It's about creating space for the kind of growth that matters. Personal growth, leadership growth, cultural growth. It's about recognizing that sustainable business success requires us to develop as human beings, not just as business operators. Some of our most popular episodes have been about avoiding common pitfalls when scaling, the importance of process documentation, and the dynamics of team management. These topics resonate with people because they address the real challenges that growing companies face. As I reflect on these last 10 years, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. This journey would not have been possible without the incredible clients who have trusted us with their most precious asset, their people and their culture. So to every CEO and business leader who took a chance on a relatively new consulting firm, who is vulnerable enough to admit that they needed help, who is willing to do the hard work of changing systems and processes, thank you. You didn't just grow your businesses, you helped us refine our approach and become better at what we do. To the emerging leaders who've participated in our Inner Circle programs, who've showed up with courage and authenticity, who are willing to learn and grow together, you taught us as much as we taught you. To my team at Impact Leadership Consulting, you've supported this vision and helped bring it to life. Your dedication and expertise have been invaluable. Specifically, I think of Andy Hall, Karen Fasulo, Dr. Kimberly Hambrick, and my podcast team of Aiden and Molly, along with Evan David, who's our company controller. Thank you all. And of course, to my wife, Cindy, and our family, who've supported me through the long hours and the inevitable challenges of building a business. Your love and patience made this possible. And to the broader community of leadership development professionals and coaches and consultants who shared insights, collaborated on projects, and pushed me to be better. Thank you. Thank you for making this industry one where we can learn from each other and grow from each other. So what's next for Impact Leadership Consulting? We are not slowing down. Remember that audacious goal that I mentioned earlier, helping 1,000 companies optimize their organizational health by 2030? We've got a long way to go, but we're accelerating. We're developing more programs, new programs. We're expanding our coaching and facilitation offerings, and we're exploring new ways to deliver our content and to connect with leaders who are ready to take their organizations to the next level. And just on a quick side note, we're working on our program to help both business owners looking to pass on the business to the next generation and helping the successors be prepared for that leadership transition. But our mission remains the same, to help people-centered CEOs develop cohesive teams that result in sustainable high-performance culture and a legacy of growth. Because at the end of the day, business is about people. And when we invest in developing people, everything else follows. One of the things I've learned in these last 10 years is the importance of being a continuous learner. There's always another summit to reach. I call it the second mountain. And there's always more to learn about what it takes to grow effectively. The business landscape has changed dramatically since 2015 when we started. We've navigated economic uncertainty, technological disruption, generational shifts in the workforce, and global challenges that none of us could have predicted. Through it all, the companies that have thrived are those that maintained their commitment to organizational health and leadership development. As we look to the future, I'm excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. The demand for authentic leadership, for companies that genuinely care for their people, for organizations that prioritize sustainability and social impact. These trends align perfectly with what we've been advocating for the past decade. and that demand is accelerating. The next generation of leaders is looking for more than just a paycheck. They want to work for organizations that have a clear mission, that invest in their development, that create environments that they can make a meaningful contribution in. This isn't just good for people, it's good for business. So let me close with this thought. Our vision is for our clients to experience what we call effortless harmony. That's a state where optimizing organizational health improves the bottom line growth while simultaneously allowing leaders to feel aligned with their values and purpose. This isn't about working less or avoiding challenges. It's about working on the right things, in the right way, with the right people. It's about building systems and cultures that support sustainable growth rather than fighting against it. When I see a CEO who's no longer stressed about turnover because they've built a culture where people want to stay, when I see a leadership team that's aligned and moving in the same direction, when I see employees who are engaged and growing in their roles, that's effortless harmony. It's not actually effortless, though. It requires intentional work and continuous attention, but it feels effortless because everyone is rowing in the same direction. Systems are working the way they're supposed to, and people are energized by the work they're doing. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to leave you with a question. What's one area of your leadership or your organization where you're feeling resistance right now? Remember, resistance is where growth happens. It's not something to avoid. It's something to lean into with the right support and the right approach. If you're a CEO or business leader who's ready to optimize your organizational health, I encourage you, just reach out and we can have a conversation. And if you're finding value in this podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other leaders who might benefit from these conversations. Word of mouth is how we grow and how we grow this community. And every new listener is an opportunity to impact another leader's journey. Remember, when your people are growing, your company will be growing as well. The question isn't whether you'll face challenges. The question is whether you'll face them with the right tools, the right support, and the right mindset. Thanks so much for joining me on this reflection of the past 10 years. Here's to the next decade of growth, impact, and creating organizations where people can contribute. They can be challenged and they can be fulfilled. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and remember, there's always room for more leaders who are committed to making a difference. Be well.